Hi there. My name's Ben. I'm a bookseller here at Rediscovered Books, and I want to talk to you about the Underground. Specifically, two books, Underland by Robert MacFarlane and Thisby Thestoop and the Black Mountain by Zac Gorman. Underland has been one of my favorite books this past year. It's been a real boon to me and a companion through times of anxiety and crisis. Robert MacFarlane is a nature and travel writer. He started off writing about mountaintops and the history of mountaineering and why it captures the minds and souls of people as a tribute to his father and his grandfather, who were both mountaineers extraordinaire. And he has since gone on to write about the hidden wild places of the world and the ancient ways that humans have tracked over the globe, and two really gorgeous books of illuminated poetry. But his latest masterpiece is an exploration of all things under the earth, not just in the geological sense, but how they resonate with us in a cultural and psychological sense. He goes all over the place here. He explores the great blackwater rivers that course through aquifers deep under continents. He goes to ancient limestone caverns. He spends nearly a week in the catacombs underneath Paris with other urban spelunkers. He visits communities that are affected by drilling for oil and the burial of radioactive waste. And through it all, he finds a reverence for the planet and uncovers anthropological gems about how we relate to this unexplored world under our feet that we know as little about as the bottom of the ocean or the surface of the moon. And what I like most about MacFarlane is that while he is a scientist and teaches you about deep time, geological, and evolutionary progressions through the ages, and has a deep love of cultural history, he also writes with a reverence and a spirituality without any touch of superstition. He kindles in the minds of his readers a sense of awe of the planet and the interconnectedness. And I wanted to share with you one of my favorite passages from the fourth chapter of this book, where he goes to Epping Wood, an ancient forest preserve outside of London, with the mycologist with the amazing name of Merlin Sheldrake. If I can just find it here. Merlin and I have been walking the forest for 2 hours or so when we reach one of Epping's great pollard beech groves. Pollarding, the pruning of the upper branches of a tree to promote dense growth, keeps trees alive for longer, indeed can enter them into an almost indefinite fairy tale time of longevity. Here in the grove, long waving trunks yearn up to the sun. Through their leaves falls a green subsea light. It feels as though we are swimming through a kelp forest. We stop and lie down for a while on the woodland floor, on our backs, not speaking, watching the trees' gentle movements in the breeze and the light lacing and lancing from 50 feet or more above us. Where the pollards spread out to form the canopies, I realize that I can trace patterns of space running along the edges of each tree's canopy, the beautiful phenomenon known as crown shyness, whereby individual forest trees respect each other's space, leaving slender running gaps between the end of one tree's outermost leaves and the start of another's. Lying there among the trees, despite a learned wariness towards anthropomorphism, I find it hard not to imagine these arboreal relations in terms of tenderness, generosity, and even love, the respectful distance of their shy crowns, the kissing branches that have pleached with one another, the unseen connections forged by root and hyphae between seemingly distant trees. In this chapter, MacFarlane is exploring the wood wide web, with Dr. Sheldrake, the phenomenon where mushroom myceliae link up the root systems of different trees, indeed different species of trees, and treats them all as a community, one living organism sharing nutrients and information to the others so that the whole can survive. It's one of the great miracles of the Underland that occurs in ways that we don't even know exactly how it works. I showed this paragraph to a friend of mine who doesn't believe that trees have feelings, and it turned them around. So it's very dear for me for that point. A different kind of underground adventure for those not necessarily wanting to think or stew in the planet, but to explore monsters and the glories of friendship, is Thisby Thestoop and the Black Mountain. It's good for readers of about 8 to 108. It is about Thisby Thestoop, a 12-year-old girl who is the gamekeeper of a famous magical dungeon. Not a place where you keep prisoners, but a place where monsters roam in dripping caverns, guarding glorious treasures of gold and gems and magic items. And it is her job to wander through the caverns every day, take care of the monsters so that they're in tip-top health and fed and not preying on each other and not yet eaten herself. And avoid all the many, many clumsy adventurers who come down into the dungeon looking for treasure and adventure and glory, and sometimes comes to very sticky ends. But her routine is thrown into a tizzy when the princess of the kingdom and her twin brother decide to venture down into the dungeons on an inspection tour and are caught in a trap set by an ancient conspiracy. And Thisbe and Princess Imogen, very prickly, very stuck up, very royal, have to find a way to rescue Imogen's brother and escape from the clutches of the dungeon, preserving the peace that lives between the Upsiders and the monsters in the deep. It's very fun and full of thrills, and I loved it a great deal. Also, there's a demon dragon. All right. Thank you very much for joining me today. I hope that you have an excellent end of your year with lots of good books to read.